Ready to go on a trip? Let's talk writing conventions. Good afternoon, everybody. It's Mike the Bowtie Writer here. Happy Tuesday. So it occurred to me that I've talked a lot about writing conferences and conventions. I've even got a couple of videos of writing conventions that I've been to, and yet I haven't actually gone over just the basics of what writing conventions are, what you can expect, and how they work. So I wanted to go over that today because I think that they are a fantastic resource that not nearly enough people take advantage of. So here's the basics of what you can expect and how to find writing conventions. Let's get to it. So a lot of people wonder, what's a writing convention like? After all, the only thing that I'd had experience with before that was actually like a Comic-Con. And our Comic-Con was huge and overwhelming, but mostly it was just tables of people trying to sell you stuff, which, don't get me wrong, it's cool. The giant robot models were fantastic. I went back to them more than once, as well as the Voltron art print, and some of the other art, and more art, and possibly a few action figures. The point is, something like a Comic-Con is a completely different experience from a writing convention because they're focused mainly on the vendor hall. Of course, writing conventions do also have a vendor hall, although the vendor hall usually tends to be much smaller in comparison. You can usually find some interesting stuff there. There's usually a little bit of gaming. There's a lot of different booksellers which have a wide variety. Some of them have just a selection of some of the most recent books. Some might have really rare or harder to find books, though. So it's always kind of a mixed bag. There also tends to be a little bit of costuming, a little bit of jewelry. It's an eclectic mixed bag, a lot like writers themselves. A writing conference, on the other hand, tends to be a lot more about panels. At a given convention, you might just have a handful of panels to dozens of panels, and these might be anywhere from a couple local authors to massive major award winners and bestsellers. The panels are absolutely fascinating. There's all sorts of stuff that's there. For example, you can have actual astronauts sitting there talking about what NASA is going to be doing next. You can have a fandom panel where people are sitting around talking about Doctor Who. You can have costume panels where people are sitting around discussing different ways that they make costumes or different cool little techniques that they have. Then you also have the business panels. That's where you have agents talking about how to pitch to agents, editors talking about what sort of books their publishing house is putting out in the next year, and maybe even some things that they're looking for. There's panels that talk about new authors, how to navigate the process. There are panels about short stories. There are panels about world building. Panels about making good characters. How to deal with imposter syndrome. Panels about how to write cool fight scenes. There are also a variety of readings from different authors talking about some of the books that they have coming up. They might even be reading from a work that's not even published yet. Cons also tend to have a lot of social events as well. For example, maybe a walking tour of the city that the con is in, or perhaps there will be a costume party or a dance. There's any number of events that you can find at a con. Finally, probably one of the best reasons to go to a convention is the networking that happens there. Now really, when I'm talking about networking at a convention, really all I mean is just that you're going to meet super cool people. You're going to meet neat, interesting people who have a lot to say about the craft, and you don't know exactly who you will get to talk to, but you'll get to meet new people, you'll get to see faces, and especially if you keep going to conventions, you'll start recognizing some of these people and striking up friendships, and those friendships are very sincere things. It's a wonderful reason to go to conventions. Admittedly, it also doesn't hurt that if you are wanting to be a prospective author and you've got a book that you're ready to pitch, it doesn't hurt that you can go to a convention and you can talk with agents and editors, and there are chances that you could get a chance to possibly pitch them or give them your card or get a little pitch in. That can happen, although there is a right way and a wrong way to go about doing that. As a matter of fact, given some of the horror stories I've heard, I think I could do an entire video about the correct way to network at a convention. So where can you find writing conventions? Well, the good news is that you can find writing conventions all over. There are several big prominent conventions every year for all of the major genres. I guarantee if there's a genre that you write, there is more than one major convention that is dedicated specifically to that genre. To find some of the cons nearest to you, First of all, I've put some links down below to some of the major conventions to see if any one of those are near where you're located, to try and see if you're interested in checking them out. Second of all, you can try to contact your local libraries, because local libraries try to maintain relationships with a lot of local authors, and those local authors are going to be paying very close attention. I also suggest trying to keep an eye on Twitter. Once you're on Twitter and you start asking around for conventions, odds are you will find someone local who can direct you to any kind of conventions that are coming up. So anyway, that's it. That's all I have for this week. I just really wanted to talk about writing conventions because it occurred to me I never laid out the basics of how it works and what you can expect from them. And it's really a fantastic resource that if you're really interested in publishing, or even if you're just a fan of books, they're a great way to get a chance to travel, see some new cities, or explore your own city, and to meet some of the people who write the stories that you care about. It's really a unique experience, and I highly recommend it. That's it. If you liked what you saw, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. If you have any questions about a con that you've got coming up, or you're just kind of curious what other things you can expect, feel free to hit me up down in the comments, or feel free to hit me up on Twitter. I'm at BowTieWriter. I love talking about this stuff. Otherwise, that's it. That's all I've got for this week. I'm Mike, the Bowtie Writer. I will see you all next time.